GNN honors those in the gay and lesbian community who lost their lives in the September 11th terrorist attacks, and will meet U.S. Surgeon General David Satcher, who continues to speak out on AIDS education. After 17 years, Lady Bunny and Wig Stock put their teasing combs and hairspray away for good. Plus, GNN investigates Christian right hauntings at a Northern Virginia pumpkin patch. We'll also see what movies made the list of the top 20 queer films of the 20th century. And later, playwright David Drake tells us about the kiss that changed his life. Finally, find out why going out on Tuesday nights in Copenhagen, Denmark is always a drag. So stay tuned for another exciting episode of GNN, your source for gay news from the nation's capital.
I want you. I want to hold you for hours at a time. I want to talk to you until I don't have a voice. Introduce me to everyone who's important to you, your friends, your family. Look at me. I want to spend my life with you. I'll never hurt you. I'll never lie to you. I'll never put you in danger. There's a time for us to be lovers. We will wait until that time comes.
I want you. I want your hand on my back when I make my way through a crowd. I want to feel you watch me when I talk to my friends. Talk to me. Tell me about your friends, your family. Look at me. I want to spend my life with you. And I'll never hurt you, never lie to you, and never put you in danger. There's a time for us to be lovers. We will wait until that time comes.
Hi, we're the cast of Queer as Folk, and you're watching the Gay News Network.
Wow, we did it!
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Gay News Network. I'm Jacob Miko.
And I'm Holly Landau. Topping our international news briefs, at Yugoslavia's first gay pride march in the capital city of Belgrade, a band of hooligans kicked and beat people marching in the parade. Reuters Newswire reported that police intervened after hundreds of anti-gay demonstrators lashed out in violence. No one was killed, but several gay activists and police officers were hospitalized with severe injuries. When asked about their actions, anti-gay demonstrators told a local radio station that they wanted to prevent immorality in Yugoslavia.
Sex in the city just isn't what it used to be. During the 1980s, Stop AIDS, a safe sex group, began their efforts to promote safer sex by handing out condoms in gay bars around Copenhagen, Denmark. In 1992, they took their campaign to stop the spread of AIDS further by putting up birdhouses full of condoms and lubricant in Copenhagen's most popular cruising park. The controversial AIDS prevention strategy suffered a major blow after some parents complained about sex in the park. Hoping to discourage public sex, the city government then took down the birdhouses and removed dense bushes, replacing them with open space, grass, and flowers.
A recent survey of Swedish citizens in the capital city of Stockholm revealed a surprising split in public attitudes towards gays adopting children. Just over half of those surveyed think gays should not be allowed to adopt. A little over a third were in favor of gay adoptions, and nearly 15% weren't sure. In 1995, the Scandinavian country was the first in the world to grant rights to same-sex couples.
Believe it or not, it's already been 3 years since the last gay games were held in Holland. The fifth gay games brought over 40,000 spectators and 14,000 contestants to the city of Amsterdam. The next gay games will be held in Sydney, Australia. It will be the first time it has been held in the Southern Hemisphere. Proud athletes are already busy raising money and muscles to compete with at the Gay Games. Visit GNN's website at gaynewsnetwork.org to link to more information on the Gay Games. Turning our attention to national news headlines, as a nation and as a community, it has taken some time to come to terms with the horrific terrorist attacks of September 11th. In the aftermath, Americans rallied around the flag in their cities, towns, and communities, and found ways to come together to process the tremendous tragedy. Unlike previous generations, many grieving members of the gay community can now openly acknowledge their lost loved ones. Although it doesn't make the pain go away, it does help them cope with the loss.
Thanks, Jacob. GNN would like to honor and remember the fallen friends and families of the gay community lost to the attacks as of this taping. GNN will continue to follow the story in its links section on our website. In New York City, Jeffrey Coleman, 41, a flight attendant on American Airlines Flight 11, died when the hijacked jet slammed into the North World Trade Center tower. Coleman had changed his normal flying route in order to prepare for an upcoming vacation with his partner, Keith Brodkowski, who had heard from him the evening prior to the crash. In 1999, Coleman received the American Professional Flight Attendant Award. On United Flight 175, Dan Brandhorst, 42, his partner of 14 years, Ron Gamboa, 33, and their 3-year-old adopted son, David, were returning to Los Angeles from a vacation in Cape Cod. The family perished when the plane hit the Second World Trade Center tower. Graham Berkeley, age 37, was on the same flight. He was an English national who lived in Boston. He worked for CompuWare and was a professional violinist in Germany and England.
Pamela J. Boyce, 43, a Brooklyn resident, worked on the 92nd floor of One World Trade Center as vice president of Car Futures. Boyce's partner told the New York Times that Boyce was a no-nonsense person who wouldn't want her loved ones to become overcome with grief. Father Michael Judge passed away while giving last rites to a firefighter during the collapse of the towers. Fellow firefighters, who had always called him Father Mike, carried his body to St. Peter's Church and then back to the firehouse. The gay Franciscan priest was a member of Dignity USA, a gay Catholic organization, was often seen in his fire robes, giving his support at gay rights parades and AIDS activism protests. John Kehone, 41, worked near the World Trade Center. After the planes hit the towers, Kehone fled his office building and met his partner of 17 years out in the street. The two heard a loud crash and thought another plane had hit, but it turned out to be the sound of falling debris which killed Kehone while his partner survived.
David Charlebois, 38, was the co-pilot of American Airlines Flight 77. The plane took off from Dulles International Airport outside of Washington, D.C. and was flown into the Pentagon by the terrorists. David lived in the heart of Washington, D.C. near the DuPont Circle neighborhood and is survived by his partner, Tom Hay, of 14 years. Charlebois never considered himself an activist, but was a member of the National Gay Pilots Association, was out to his co-workers, and fought for domestic partner benefits for fellow pilots. Joe Ferguson, 39, was a passenger on that same plane that hit the Pentagon. He lived on Capitol Hill and served as director of National Geographic Society's Geographic Education Outreach Program. He was accompanying 3 6th-grade students and 3 school teachers on a field trip to Los Angeles. Sheila Hine was working for the U.S. Army's Management and Budget Office in the Pentagon when American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the building. She worked at the Pentagon for the past 5 years as a visual information specialist for the Army. Hine lived with Peggy Neff, her partner of 17 years, in University Park, Maryland.
Mark Bingham, the most widely reported gay victim to die in a terrorist attack, was on United Airlines Flight 93 when it crashed outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, without causing more casualties on the ground. Bingham was a PR executive in San Francisco and a lifelong athlete who at 6'4" made an impressive opponent. Bingham won a national rugby championship and had planned to organize a gay rugby team to represent the U.S. in the Gay Games in Sydney, Australia in 2002. He was honored at his funeral by Senator John McCain as one of the 3 people who likely took on the hijackers of a 4th plane.
GNN will continue to follow the story in its links section on our website. Recently, the second openly gay U.S. ambassador in history was sworn into office. Secretary of State Colin Powell presided over an invitation-only ceremony to swear in Michael Guest, who was a senior Foreign Service member for many years, as ambassador to Romania. His nomination process lacked the controversy that surrounded President Clinton's nomination of gay businessman James Hormel as ambassador to Luxembourg in 1996. Powell publicly acknowledged guest partner of 6 years, who will accompany him to the ambassador's residence in Bucharest.
Direct sunlight may not be a drag queen's best friend, but then there's no escaping its rays at the 17th annual and final celebration of Wig Stock in New York City. Wig Stock founder Lady Bunny said that the past 2 rain-plagued events helped amass nearly $25,000 in debt, so she decided to do the ladylike thing, take a curtsy, and call it a day. The last Wig Stock bash turned out to be a blast. The mood on the crowded Pier 54 was jubilant, and everyone seemed to be there, even Deborah Harry. Is this really the end of Wig Stock, or is it all a PR stunt? The passage of time will tell us next year.
Believers in the Great Gay Pumpkin will be happy to hear about sightings in the Mid-Atlantic region of the U.S. It all started a decade ago when the Cox family farm in Centerville, Virginia, purchased rainbow flags as cheery additions to their fields. Years later, they learned about the rainbow flag's symbolism for gay rights, diversity, and inclusiveness. They embraced the flag's message, which later took on personal significance when their daughter came out. Now the gay-friendly vendors find themselves attacked by so-called pro-family groups.
We've added more of the rainbows. They're everywhere. We've got little, little whirly gigs, spinning things that are everywhere, and more rainbows. And people who aren't offended by it and don't know what they mean think they're really pretty, and everyone else just loves it. And we're appreciating all the support that we've gotten this year and in the past, and it's going really well.
Up next is GNN's Washington Report.
But first, here's a new public service announcement that marks the past 20 years of struggle against the AIDS epidemic.
The Centers for Disease Control reports a rare and often fatal cancer.
The disease, called AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome,
risk
has had a big impact.
Gay men and intravenous drug users.
The focus of the alarm in recent days has fallen on blood banks.
Around the world tonight are mourning the death of Rock Hudson.
Here's a way to avoid getting AIDS. It's called safe sex.
The federal government will soon require testing for prisoners, immigrants.
What do we need? Money for AIDS! What do we need?
He was Ryan White, and he died of AIDS.
2 county workers were fired because they had AIDS.
Now affects every race, sex, and age
Unfolding
group.
the AIDS Memorial Quilt.
I'm here to take AIDS and see my Uncle Greg's quilt.
Bill, Oliver, Kathy, I'm Elizabeth Glazer, infected with the AIDS virus.
More African American.
New drugs are a long way from a cure.
438,000 Americans died of AIDS in the last 20 years.
Welcome back to the show. Up next is GNN's Washington Report.
In this installment of the Washington Report, 2 leading voices, Cornelius Baker, Executive Director of the Whitman Walker Clinic in Washington, D.C., and the U.S. Surgeon General David Satcher, speak out on AIDS.
Well, I think the first thing that's important to realize when you think about the global picture of AIDS is that this may well be the worst infectious disease outbreak in the history of man. Our goal with this campaign is to educate, motivate, and mobilize.
The Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation has just released the latest in its series of surveys that have been tracking the HIV epidemic and American people's response to it. And what's very impressive is that it shows that after 20 years, a period when we thought Americans had just grown tired and fatigued of this epidemic, that they still care.
It was 20 years ago this June when the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta first reported a rare and deadly pneumonia in gay men in Los Angeles. 1 month later, the New York Times reported on the disease. So began a trickle of information on what was to become a torrent of human suffering around the world. The disease was,
tonight are mourning the death of Rock Hudson.
And is AIDS. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome. 20 years after AIDS invaded our lives, a new survey by the Kaiser Family Foundation reveals that Americans still consider AIDS to be one of the nation's most urgent health problems. But a coalition of 12 major community health care groups believes we must act on that concern. An aggressive public awareness campaign reminds people that 20 years of AIDS is enough. They'll see that message on TV, in newspapers, on posters, and billboards.
We need this campaign so that we can remember that although we've made a lot of progress in the HIV epidemic so far, that we still have much work to do.
Our goal with this campaign is to educate, motivate, and mobilize. 36 to 38 million people are living with this virus as we speak. Over 22 million people have already died.
AIDS memorial quilt.
So I'm going to go to
Policymakers at all levels of government are being asked to recommit to advances in treatment, care, and research.
We need much more progress in terms of developing a vaccine and getting people to modify their behavior and getting people to be tested to see if they're positive.
Some churches and AIDS activists are also receiving new support for their fight against AIDS.
We're asking churches to partner with their health departments to get a mobile van out, to turn their basements into HIV testing clinics to get people tested for HIV.
The campaign also includes a website, www.20yearsofaids.org.
Prevent, care, and remember, 20 years, absolutely, positively, enough of HIV.
Surgeon General David Satcher has announced that he will not seek reappointment in 2002. Next, outspoken playwright David Drake tells us how he was inspired to act up against AIDS by seeing Larry Kramer's play, The Normal Heart.
After one Obie Award and nearly 10 years on stage, Drake's own play, The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me, became a movie that has run at many gay and lesbian film festivals nationwide. Now let's hear about the kiss that changed Drake's life and see some of his comic performance on stage.
I was sent to my grandmother's in Pittsburgh. Now, my grandmother wasn't just living in Pittsburgh. My grandmother was Pittsburgh. She was a coal miner's daughter with a cigarette in one hand and a big round hip in the other. I met your grandfather the night I won that Jane Russell look-alike contest. That's when he was cute and thin.
Tell our audience, for those who weren't lucky enough to see the show, what it was about.
Well, it's a one-actor play that I wrote and cast myself in. It is about the coming of age of a gay man, I think of my generation, during the epidemic, and the various, what happens after you come out of the closet, really? You know, what kind of world do you face? And it was a series of scenes that chronicled the protecting of that, the goodness of being gay, I think, you know, confronted bashing, internalized homophobia, you know, searching for love, the sissy boy that many of us were as children, and the title refers to the awakening of consciousness that I came to after seeing Larry Kramer's play, The Normal Heart, in 1985.
Her name was Dorothy, but everybody called her Dot, or Dot. I called her Glamour Grandma. So when I arrived at Glamour Grandma, she surprised me by saying that we weren't going to stay in Pittsburgh at all, that we were going to go visit her brother, Paul, in Southern Virginia. He worked at a Revlon cosmetics factory, and he was an artist. He painted portraits of pets. You know that picture of Tipsy over the TV console? That's Paul! Tipsy had been Glamour Grandma's pet chihuahua, and the painting was all that was left of her because the summer before, little Tipsy had been out in the yard playing in the grass when my grandfather was cutting the grass with a rider mower. It was really tragic. Oh, and one other thing she said. Paul's never married, so don't say anything. When we arrived at the Port Floral bus station, there stood a man in a seersucker suit, waving, waving, waving. Paul! Dodds! You are as slim and trim as the day you left the Navy! Oh, and what about you? That hair, it is fabulous.
I learned that gay people need validation of their feelings and their lives and their stories, and we're really rarely offered that in an honest and truthful manner in the mediums that we look to, whether in the entertainment mediums other than publishing. You'll find a lot of material that validates and chronicles a variety of stories, of truths about us in books and magazines, but not many on television or really in the live theater.
Uncle Paul's apartment was as clean and creased as the parts in his angel fine hair, except for the artist's studio. Oh, don't look in there. Oh, it is a mess. I call it the zoo. It was crawling with half-painted canvases of poodles, Afghans, Yorkies, Danes. And of course, Uncle Paul himself had a pet, a little Pekingese named Judy. You know, as in Garland. Yeah, I knew. Oh, Judy Garland, now that girl could sing.
While David continues his writing, it was recently announced that David's muse, Larry Kramer, author and activist who created ACT UP, or AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, in the 1980s, has donated his manuscripts to his alma mater, Yale University. The Ivy League school also established the Kramer Initiative of Gay and Lesbian Studies with the help of a $1 million donation from Larry Kramer's brother.
Don't go away. After the break, we'll have more on Stage Fun with a trio of drag queens that show Denmark what a true pop star divas are like. Plus, we'll give you a peek at the must-see 20 gay-related films of the 20th century.
Each day in this world, 5,000 people become infected with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. Most of these people had unprotected sex or shared a needle with an infected person. Whether you're gay, straight, or bisexual, always protect yourself. Use a condom every time you have sex, every time. And if you inject drugs, don't share the needle. Don't make it 5001.
Welcome back. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation put together a list of top 20 gay and lesbian films of the 20th century.
Absolute Vodka sponsored the survey, and Frameline, a nonprofit media arts organization, distributed the film clips to gay and lesbian film festivals across the country. So, break out the popcorn and take note of the films you need to see for the first time or want to rent again. Frameline Distribution's new catalog features 17 films of interest to gay and lesbian youth. Frameline hopes the new catalog will be used as a resource by schools and educational institutions. Link to GLAAD or Frameline from GNN's homepage at gaynewsnetwork.org. While you're there, vote on your own favorite movie in GNN's online survey.
I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Jacob. As they say, the world's a stage, and this episode of GNN seems to have shown it all but this last act. The Pop Stars Trio has the only drag show in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's performed at a usually straight tourist trap across from the famous Tivoli Gardens. Watch this rare foreign treat of the drag queens marveling the crowd with the live renditions of hits from divas like Cher, Donna Summer, and Tina Turner. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time for today's show. If you'd like more information on GNN, would like to let us know what you think, or would like to participate in a survey, be sure and visit us online at www.gaynewsnetwork.org.
You may also send us an email at gnntv@aol.com. Taking us out of today's show is more of the pop star divas of Denmark. For the Gay News Network, I'm Jacob Miko.
And I'm Holly Landau. Thanks for joining us.